discuss this with Nader Hashimi. He's the director of the Center for Middle East Studies at the University of Denver and joins us from Denver, Colorado. Nader, it's always good to speak to you about this. Now, Washington, for a long time, has been wary of Russia and Iran. So now these two countries forging stronger ties. Why is that so concerning to the U.S. and some of its allies?
Well, the United States wants to keep Iran and Russia contained on their back heels, under sanction and isolated. So when these two perennial foes of the United States in the West, Russia and Iran, announce a military and strategic partnership, it understandably generates alarm bells in the West, in the United States. My own view is that the alarm bells that we're hearing coming from Washington and its partners around the world are grossly exaggerated. This is not going to shift the global balance of power. Let's remember that Russia and Iran are both authoritarian regimes, weak regimes, unpopular regimes, and regimes that are on the decline. In the case of Iran, it's facing a major insurrection. It has a crisis of credibility in the eyes of its own population. It's an open question whether the Islamic Republic of Iran will even be around in the next few years. In the case of Russia, as everyone knows, it's losing the war in Ukraine. It badly miscalculated. It has huge internal problems. So, this does not represent some sort of global shift in power. It does represent concern from Washington's perspective because it wants to see its allies, it wants to see its enemies, Iran and Russia, isolated, not coming together, striking new deals.
So, Nader, what sort of action do you think the United States will or can take to prevent these two countries becoming even closer?
Well, I don't think there's much that the United States can do beyond what it has already done. So in the case of Iran, let's not forget Iran is under arguably the most comprehensive, economic sanctions regime in the history of humanity. I mean, it's an open question whether anything more can be sanctioned by the West to isolate Iran further. And in the case of Russia after the invasion of Ukraine, Russia is also heavily sanctioned, quarantined. Its oil has been taken off the global market. It's similarly isolated politically and economically. So I don't think there's anything new that the United States can do, except in the case of Russia, step up support for Ukraine's heroic resistance against Russian aggression, continue to support Ukrainian military efforts to expel Russian troops from its soil, et cetera. In the case of Iran, the United States doesn't have many cards to play. Almost every other day, you hear the United States announcing a new set of new sanctions on Iran. Most of those are symbolic because Iran is already heavily sanctioned by, a policy that goes back many years.
John Kirby, the White House National Security Council spokesman, says it's clear this partnership poses a threat not just to Ukraine, but also to Iran's neighbors. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, yes, but I think we have to keep things in perspective. I mean, if you read the reports today, Iran is going to be getting new high-tech weaponry, aircraft. Iran doesn't have a strong air force. That seems to be part of the deal. Iranian pilots are going to be being trained in Russia. It's going to get new, tanks and high, military technology from Russia, increasing its military sort of position in the region. But I don't think, this is going to change the balance of power between Iran and its adversaries in the Middle East. It's noteworthy, but I think we have to keep things in perspective. This is not going to change the balance of power globally, and it's not going to change the balance of power between Iran and its adversaries in the Middle East.
Nader Hashimi, always good to get your analysis and perspective. Speaking to us there from Denver, Colorado. Thank you.